Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar today. We'll start in about a minute or two here at 10 o'clock Pacific time. Just give people a little more time to join the webinar. Hello, everybody. Now that we're at 10 o'clock here Pacific time, we'll get this webinar started. The title of this webinar is Microsoft's New Commerce Experience. If you joined us about a month ago, we had one of our webinars on this topic, on the New Commerce Experience, which is Microsoft's new licensing program. Then this year it's focused on Microsoft 365. Thanks for everybody joining. Most of it is current clients, so help thank you for working with us through all of these changes that Microsoft's put together and implemented for this year. Let me click on the next slide here, get to our agenda. Here we go, today's agenda. Introduction, Wade Walker, run our VP of Cloud Services and Sales here at Big Green IT. We're running this webinar along with Lindsay Cowan and Austin Kelly from our team. Please ask questions along the way. We like this to be interactive. So in the GoToWebinar screen that you've got, you can type in questions. We've got Lindsay, Austin, and other members from our team that are monitoring this. They'll interrupt me along the way, so please don't hesitate. We like to have these things be interactive, where you're asking questions and we're answering them along the way. Makes for better dialogue. And please don't be shy about asking questions. You might think that you're the only one who has this question. And when it comes to Microsoft licensing, darn near everybody has the same question, ourselves included. And there's a lot of changes that have been going on. So a lot for everybody to digest and deal with in last month and this month. And we appreciate all your patience through it. And please ask questions along the way. Also, please note that this webinar is being recorded for future use for on-demand playback, and the slides, the PDF version of the slides will be made available after this. Chuck Ray from our team will be taking care of all that, and then you can have the slide deck afterwards. And then if you want any other meetings with us to talk about Microsoft's licensing, please don't hesitate to contact us. We can have schedule a follow-up meeting on this. The next slide here. A little bit more on the agenda. We always joke you need a PhD to figure all this out. Microsoft licensing has always been complex. It's even more complex now, which is actually a good thing in the fact that you have more options as a Microsoft customer, as a Big Green IT customer. We can actually offer you more options for licensing, which makes it more complex, but gives you more flexibility as a user of Microsoft 365. So there are benefits to it. It's just that it can take a long time to discuss and make crystal clear. And Microsoft is, of course, like I said, making a lot of changes this year. And some of these changes are still ongoing. They're still working through some challenges. And we're giving Microsoft feedback on some things we'd like to see change. They're already been changing some of those things. Not everything, but they are trying to make this work for everybody. And today we're going to be really talking about the new features of New Commerce Experience. What's a new word that Microsoft, I think, created called Co-Terminosity. I think I mentioned this in the last webinar. I'm very familiar with the phrase co-term, but not the word co-terminosity. So there's a new subscription co-terminosity feature here in Microsoft 365. in the new commerce experience. There's also a new home use program, which just went live on March 10th, 6 days ago. Co-Terminosity also went live on March 10th. So those are two new features that went live just, again, 6 days ago. Multi-Geo Microsoft 365, we were hoping would go live March 10th. It didn't. We don't have a firm date yet. We're hoping end of this month or sometime in Q2. And then also we're going to quickly hit on a 3-year term. Right now in the Microsoft 365 land, we can offer monthly terms and annual terms for subscriptions. And in the future, we're hearing June, July timeframe, we'll be able to offer 3-year terms for Microsoft 365 licenses. So these are really the excuse me, the topics we're going to hit on today. Next steps for you to, which is basically interact with us, and then we'll also be, contacting people when some of these new features come out, and then lots of Q&A. Again, we want this to be interactive, so please, please ask questions along the way. And then before I go to the next slide, Austin, Lindsay, can you guys hear me okay and see my slides well?
Yes, we can.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, let's jump into this. Here's a kind of a background overview, the Microsoft New Commerce Experience journey. Technically speaking, this journey started 2019-20, and I hit on this in the last webinar with a slightly different slide. Microsoft moved Azure into New Commerce Experience. They started selling server software subscriptions, reserved instances, and other third-party products in their New Commerce Experience that was made available, a few years back. Last year started the ability to sell perpetual software, so think like Windows Server, SQL Server, things like that, through this New Commerce Experience. And then this year, the focus has been on what Microsoft terms modern workplace, which is their phrase for Microsoft 365, Office 365, Visio Plan 1, Project Plan 2, all of the products you can get in your Microsoft 365 Admin Center are now in scope of NCE, as is Dynamics 365 and the Power Platform. And right now, this is for commercial customers. So think regular customers that are commercial organizations, companies that are nonprofits, that are education, that are government. They'll be have the New Commerce Experience applied to their subscriptions, their licenses sometime later this year. We don't have a date on that yet. And also Web Direct, buying directly from Microsoft. We don't have really clients to do that. That's more for consumers or super small, like mom and pop shops. But buying directly from Microsoft is also in preview right now with New Commerce Experience. So, so all of the purchasing motions, as Microsoft calls them, are going to be in the scope of New Commerce Experience and have the same New Commerce, similar New Commerce rules. We don't know all of the rules for the other, for education, nonprofit, government, and Web Direct. We don't know all those rules yet, but we'll learn those throughout this year. Co-Terminosity. So what is it? It's a really cool word, a really long word. So what is it? It's Co-Terminosity is the ability for your subscriptions to be all of them co-term. What that means is they have a term, whether it's a monthly term or an annual term. Monthly is easier than annual. And then they all term on the same date. We can set a customer term end date for new or renewing subscriptions. So if you think of a subscription, and it's important to note that a subscription is the name of the product, think Office 365 E3 or think Microsoft 365 Business Standard. Those are subscriptions. And then the quantities of those subscriptions, if you've got 20 Office 365 E3s, the 20 is, technically speaking, in licensing term, is a license. That's the license. You have 20 licenses of the Office 365 E3 subscription. So we can set the same term date for Office 365 E3 and Microsoft 365 Business Standard, Business Premium, and the list goes on. As we add new subscriptions, oh yeah, go ahead.
Why would someone want their subscriptions to co-term?
Perfect. I will get to that in a few seconds here, because that is the number one question is, well, why do I want this? And then on the far right there, the subscriptions, some or all can renew on the same date. So why does this matter? And great timing, because I've got a few little things here on the bottom that are coming up. Easier to manage subscriptions whose term date is on the same date. So for companies that have purchasing teams or purchasing programs where they want their subscriptions to end on the same date from a PO standpoint, where they issue POs for invoices or hitting in their business calendar when they like to have certain subscriptions renew, whether a client wants it at the end of their fiscal year, which for some companies, most companies, December 31st. Some companies like Microsoft, it's in the middle of the year. Their fiscal end is June, the end of June. For education companies, a lot of theirs is also in that time frame. It aligns with the school year. So for organizations that really want to have this fit their business calendar, we can have all of the licenses term at the same date, and then most subscriptions automatically renew. So you're probably typically going to renew at that time, and then add licenses along the way. But it really is a way for a business to know that their subscriptions all renew at a certain day, and then they can align their internal purchasing programs, whether they issue POs or whatever it is, to align with the end date of a subscription. Also, it provides consistent invoicing across subscriptions. So for example, if you have a subscription that has a term end date in March and another one that has a term end date in the following month in April, that could sometimes cause some invoicing changes or multiple invoices. For those of you that have had some recent invoices because of this, you've noticed that we've had to have some double invoices or delta, some change invoices. We'll get those reconciled along the way, because those are just normal double invoices as a result of the change. And then from a co-terminosity standpoint, then this can simplify the invoicing so that the term dates for these subscriptions are aligned, which then again gives this consistent invoicing. And another third benefit is all of the add-ons that are purchased separately can have the same end date. So if you ask what's an add-on, a good example is the Microsoft phone system, Teams Phone. A lot of our clients are using it. We've been using it internally for 4 or 5 years. And believe it or not, when you add on an add-on like Teams Phone to, let's say, Office 365 E3 or Microsoft 365 Business Premium, those add-ons had different term dates than the base subscription, which doesn't really matter as long as you keep using it. But from an invoicing standpoint and a purchase order standpoint, or your internal purchasing standpoint, it's good to know that all of these add-ons can have the same end date as the core subscription. Lindsay, does that help answer that question?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Perfect. Any other questions on kind of what is it and why it matters? All right, no more questions. One more slide on this, on co-terminosity. There's co-terminosity alignment rules. So as we mentioned, co-terminosity can be created when the subscription's created or when it's renewed. In this chart below, you'll see let me see my little pointer, laser pointer. So in this chart below here, you can see the existing subscriptions. So co-terminosity can be activated when it's created or renewed, and then subscription can be made co-terminous with an existing subscription according to the following rules. We mentioned the terms. Right now, there's the 1 year, the 1 month or monthly term for a subscription. Then there's the annual. In the future, there'll be the 3 year. And then here's a kind of chart that shows the coterminous alignment rules based on the the term. And as you can see here in this chart, going from left to right, if the existing subscription is a 1 month, you can align it with the following, with a new or other subscription with a 1 month. Since they're monthly, of course, they can align with each other because they're monthly. Monthly can't really align with an annual or 3 year because monthly is monthly, so it's much shorter. And then the 1 year and 3 year subscription terms can align with each other, which is a nice feature to have here. And the nice other thing to note is that you can mix and match. So if you want to mix and match subscriptions that have different terms, they can be mixed and matched, and they can be coterminous. If you ask, well, why is this important? Wait, another question, like what does this mean for me? Think if you've got seasonal hires or seasonal changes or summer interns, or one client that I mentioned that we have that responds to natural disasters and mostly hurricanes, they have their staffing increases dramatically in the second half of a calendar year when most of the hurricanes hit. And so in this scenario for them, and it could be the same for you, they are going to typically have like a 1 year term on most of their subscriptions, might choose 3 years. I'll hit on 3 years in a little bit. And they might add also some 1 month subscriptions to deal with the seasonality of hires. And please note that also this can be for the same subscription. So for example, you can have an Office 365 E3 or Microsoft 365 Business Premium, so on and so forth, at the 1 year level. You can also have the same exact product, so the same exact name. You can have an Office 365 E3 at 1 year, and you can also have Office 365 E3s at 1 month, and in time you'll be able to have them in 3 years. And then you can add licenses or people to either the 1 month or the 1 year term. And then it's a little easier to discuss with like the 1 year and 3 year because of this co-terminosity alignment for this chart. Then you can add people along these subscriptions during this term, and then have all the terms end at a co-terminosity time frame, so that you can deal with some of that seasonality, some of your other business plans. If you know, for example, that a merger, acquisition, divestiture is coming up, you could talk with us and say, hey, can we change some of the terms here because we know something's coming up in the future. And we'd like these products to term. We can't really shorten that. There's some ways to shorten, but not really. It's mostly just aligning them. And you might, but come to us and say, hey, we know we're buying this company, or we know we're divesting this, or this division is going to be spun off into its own organization that needs its own tenant. It's still under our umbrella organization. They're still a parent, but now we've got 2 or 3 different children organizations that need to have their own separate Microsoft 365 tenants, and we need them to be coterminous, or however companies mix and match stuff. I've been through so many company transitions, be it a merger and acquisition, a divestiture, like I said, umbrella company, and you split out different business units that you might have based on the products they sell, based on their profitability, based on one, you might start a business and sub-business, and it has all your capital assets in it, so you can depreciate and amortize those products. And so as companies get really complex in their organizational structure, especially with parent organizations and children organizations, that's where a lot of this co-terminosity can be really, really beneficial, and can help you again align your subscription end dates to kind of be married to your business calendar, including any kind of upcoming business calendar events you might know of.
Hey, Wade,
that was
quick question.
A lot. Yeah, I was going to say there might be a few questions from
And
that
Wade,
one.
this isn't specific. Just real quickly, and this isn't necessarily specific to the co-terminosity, but as you list the different subscriptions, 1 month, 1 year, 3 years, what are the major differences? Are there pricing differences between those subscriptions? Why would a customer have 1 month and 1 year subscriptions?
Perfect. So here we go. I'll circle this, the 1 month. Why would you have one and why would you have another? when you sign a, so when we sign a subscription and it has a term, that term locks in the price for the duration of that term. So today is what? Today's March 16th. Tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day. Have fun, everybody. Green beer. You lock in that price for the duration of the term. So over here, my laser pointing back here, on the 1 year term, if a subscription was to be assigned today, March 16th, that means for the next 365 days, I hope next year's not a leap year. It's not good, it's an odd number year. Then you lock in that price for that term. If you do a 1 month term, it locks in the price for 1 month. A 3 year term locks in the price for 3 years. So it's one of the biggest things to note about the term feature of these subscriptions is that it locks in the price. And then during the term, like say in this case, the 1 year term of, let's say, Office 365 E3, you've locked in the price for that 12 months, so through March 16th of next year. And in addition, you can add licenses. Remember, licenses are the individual quantities of the subscription. You can add licenses to that subscription for the duration of that term, for the duration of the year, and still keep in that price. So today's, again, is March 16th. Let's say you hire 5 people next month in April, and you add them to that Office 365 E3 subscription. They then get that same price that's locked in through the duration of the term. And if there's any promotions that have been promotional pricing or discounting that's been applied to that subscription, let's say Office 365 E3, as people are added to that subscription, they then get that promotion for the remainder of that term. Does that help answer that question, Lindsay?
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing a lot of for customers that don't have seasonal employees, don't need to flex licensing up and down, we are really guiding clients towards that 1 year term because there is a pricing premium associated with Microsoft's NCE month-to-month plans. It's about 20%. Is that correct?
Right. So there's a 20% premium to a product to choose the 1 month term. So if a product costs $10, a subscription costs $10 in the year term, to have that flexibility to go month to month, that product would cost 20% more, which would be $12. So Microsoft has added a price difference between the 1 year and 1 month term, as Lindsay mentioned. And the 1 year term, again, it's the prices that we've been very familiar with in the industry. There hasn't been a lot of price changes. There's that 6 during this month. And so we did lock in a lot of clients into the 1 year term to keep the price prior to the price increase for 1 year. And then after 1 year for those 6 products, then about this time next year, those will renew the term for the subscription. And in the case of Office 365, the price goes up from $20 to $23 at the end of the term. And it's a monthly term that would lock in that price only for 1 month. And then at the end of 1 month, and that price would then go up. It is important to note right now, Microsoft has a promotion for the 1 month term where that price increase is discounted, or it stays the same until the end of June. So Microsoft does have a promotion in the market right now for the 1 month term, and we do have some clients that have chosen that 1 month term to lock in that price for the through June 30th, knowing that they have some seasonality employees and they might increase that quantity of those 1 month term products or decrease it. Typically, it's summer interns. We all seem to have companies that have summer interns and give them a product for a few months, and then when they're done and they head back to school in the fall or the late summer, then their 1 month term license, be it Office 365 E3 or whatever it is, can then be reduced as they head back to school. So that, Lindsay, did that help answer that question? And I tried to give an example to help answer that.
Yes, that was perfect. Thank you.
And Austin, I think I heard your voice. Was there something you had?
Yeah, had a quick question. You made me start thinking about what I'm gonna wear tomorrow for St. Patrick's Day, and I got to go find my kilt after this webinar. But yeah, so trying to understand. So if a customer purchases licenses today for, let's say, business standard, and a month and a half, 2 months down the road, they want to add Exchange Online archiving, that's considered an add-on, correct?
Yep, so that'd be one of the add-ons.
Right.
So we go back to the previous slide. That would
So
be, yeah, that'd be an add-on like this.
perfect. So what you're saying is that will co-term, or that can co-term to the parent or the base SKU till the end of the 12-month term, correct? So even though it's 2 months after the fact, you can still co-term that?
Correct. So what
Okay.
Austin's bringing up, or what whoever asked the question, Exchange Online archiving is a way to have a quote-unquote unlimited mailbox size. So for those of you that aren't familiar with this product, you can add it to every employee in your organization or just a handful, and then he or she can have a unlimited mailbox. In essence, you get your mailbox size and you have 100 gigabyte mailboxes that are added to it. So on the back end, it's a little technical how that happens, but people can have an unlimited mailbox size with Exchange Online archiving. List price is $3 per person per month for that. If you've got Microsoft 365 Business Standard, which is $12.50 per month, and then 2 months into the term, you go, Jane Doe's got a really large mailbox. Business Standard mailbox size is 50 gigs. We need to give her an unlimited mailbox. Let's add Exchange Online archiving at $3 per month to Jane Doe. Now she's got Business Standard and Exchange Online archiving. $12.50 plus $3 is $15.50. And now if you want the Exchange Online archive product to co-term with her Microsoft 365 Business Standard license subscription, you just let us know. And then on the back end, then we would do what we can to make them co-term based on the co-term rules, so that these products co-term together. And then maybe at the end of the term, we'll go to the next slide here. At the end of that 1 year term, you can then do whatever you need to do. Increase, we can always increase licenses along the way. You can decrease it after a term. And again, then these co-term dates that you choose could fit your business calendar, could fit POs, could fit whatever it is. And then that way the Exchange Online archiving and the Business Standard are in essence kind of married together with a similar co-term date. And at the end of that term, the end of the year term, or whatever the co-term date is, then you have the option to renew those subscriptions or reduce them, and that way you're doing them at the same time. Whereas when they're separate term dates, if you went to go try to reduce after 1 year, here's the 1 year here of Business Standard, but the Exchange Online archive was also a 12-month term, but a term 2 months later, you couldn't reduce the Exchange Online archive at the same time as the Business Standard because they had different co-terminosity dates. That got really technical, Austin. I hope that answered the question.
That was perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. As Austin and Lindsay know, everybody at Big Green IT knows, discussing licensing is complex. You have to be very, very accurate and very, very precise, and use the vernacular correct, a subscription versus a license. And sometimes answering what seems like a simple question is a couple of sentences with a lot of long words with multiple syllables, like co-terminosity, and then marrying again an add-on to a core license, and then talking about the term, and then the monthly aspect, and so on and so forth. Any other questions coming in?
No other questions at the moment.
Perfect. Okay, so that's the highlight here on co-terminosity. please contact us. So contact Austin, Lindsay, myself, or our licensing team or support if you have any questions. And also our contact information was at the beginning of the slide. And again, you'll get the PDF version of the slide. And we have our contact at the end as well. And then our team can go make those co-term changes for you. I don't know that all of our clients will do this. I don't know exactly how important it's going to be. I know for our larger clients that do have well-defined purchasing programs with POs, and the POs have to match the exact price, and there has to be a term to it, and so on and so forth. This is going to be music to their ears, because some of the larger organizations, again, they might have a purchasing team where the purchasing team negotiates all of these terms and how it's everything on a PO, and it can get really very well defined by these larger organizations, and they'll definitely benefit from the co-terminosity. And then when the 3-year term is released later sometime this year, I'll bring that up in when I discuss the 3 years, but it'll be really, really beneficial for those clients that have those really well-defined purchasing programs, that they can align the co-terminosity of 1 year and 3-year terms. Mix and match. Next thing is the new product, which again came out. Co-Terminosity was March 10th, so just started 6 days ago. Home use program just started 6 days ago as well on March 10th. I was hoping it was going to be a little more exciting than it is, but I'm still including it here. The home use program that is coming out here, let's see, as it relates to new commerce experience. Well, this one, it does have a minimum purchase of 2,000 licenses or more of one or a mix of Microsoft 365, E3, or E5. We didn't know exactly what would be the home use program rules until it was released last week. So for those clients that are under 2,000 licenses or under $250,000 in the previous 12 months of eligible Power BI, Office, Surface devices, then you can have the home use program. So for smaller clients, the home use program isn't going to be really kind of in scope here, because it is intended for larger clients. And then the home use program has been around for a long time for companies with software assurance of qualifying Office programs and software assurance of Microsoft 365, E3, E5. That's mostly for organizations that have thousands of employees, might have an enterprise agreement for their licenses. So for those organizations that have moved off an enterprise agreement into NCE, if you were using the home use program, you can use a home use program here in the commerce experience. And the way the home use program works is that there is a Microsoft store for business, and the store for business has a portal that your IT admin, he or she, can go into and start to make the home use available. You get an email notification to your employees saying, hey, they can use the home use program and they can get products at a discount. There's varying discount rates for the products, which include Office 365 products, Microsoft Surface products, and more. Middle slide here, you can use internal communications, so you can let your employees know they can use this home use program to collaborate across devices, so they can have devices at home. So Jane Doe and John Doe can buy a Surface at home for a discount and have some other subscription products available to them. And then if your company has a human resource employee purchase program, and so a lot of companies have that employee purchase program, or bring your own device program, or whatever your organization will have called that program, then we can coordinate the home use program with that EPP or BYOD, your bring your own device program, to allow then employees to bring their own device, buy their own device at a discount through the home use program. And then Microsoft then will welcome your feedback. So any kind of feedback everybody has, which is going to be, hey, make it available for small and medium businesses. We've already made that request to our Microsoft team, is to make this available to smaller companies as well, because I think it's really, really beneficial to small organizations, especially in today's world, the work from home world, work from anywhere world, where people are going to be working all over the place and not necessarily going into an office. A lot of our clients are if they don't have it already, they're adding the BYOD or employee purchase program to their business, and that way, as they hire people who already have their own monitors and computers, whatever, can then buy replacements and do things through the home use program at a discount. Lindsay, Austin, Lindsay, any questions on home use?
No, I think you did a great job of explaining it.
I wouldn't expect a lot, because it is tiered towards organizations that are mostly above 2,000 seats. Hopefully that changes in the future. If it does, we'll let everybody know. The next thing, Multi-Geo Microsoft 365. Again, we were hoping it was coming out in March. It's been delayed. We don't have a exact date for it. I copy and pasted something from Microsoft's website on Multi-Geo. I did include the link to this at the end of the slide deck. And then what Multi-Geo is, here's this picture. It's a little bit of an older picture from Microsoft. I think it's like 3 years old, but this is how one can view Multi-Geo Office 365. This was only available in enterprise agreements. It's coming into NCE. Again, we don't know the exact date. As soon as we do, we'll send out an email blast on it. But if you've got people who have who work in various countries, and here there's got about 10 different countries that are highlighted, and you need that data in their data to reside in that country for data residency compliance rules, not for performance reasons. It's not because you want it to be faster because of where they're located, but really for data compliance residency rules. Let us know, and then as soon as it becomes available, then we can enable it and then allow people to have their Office 365 data be at a Microsoft data center, an Azure data center in the country in which they reside. We've got a good number of clients that have been waiting for this. And one example is that we've got a client that has most of their people here in America, North America. They've got a good number of people in Canada, and their compliance team has been requesting that the Canada people have their Microsoft 365 data moved to a Canadian data center, Microsoft Canadian data center, for data residency rules, because that's the way their business is working from a compliance standpoint. And so what happens is then we go in on the back end and tell Microsoft, hey, for Jane Doe and John Doe who are located in Canada, please move their data to a Microsoft Azure data center. And I mentioned Azure because every Office 365, Microsoft 365 tenant data is technically in a Microsoft Azure data center. Then we would contact Microsoft and say, hey, please put Jane Doe and John Doe, both of them who are in Canada, please put their data in Canada. Everybody else, please let it reside in North America. And that way, this satisfies data residency rules for the clients that have those data residency requirements. Lindsay, Austin, any questions on this?
No questions on Multi-Geo, but there was a question asked, and I apologize if we missed this the first time around, on Co-Terminosity, and it's a two-part question, Wade. So the question is, I've used co-terming on other products in which it affects the subscription length based on the weight of the product. Does the subscription term get impacted by adding in add-ons and such? I think the answer to that is no. Or is it reversed where the add-on prorates to fit the existing subscription term?
Yeah, great question. And the answer is, one, you don't have to do co-term, which is nice, so you don't have to do it. Two, if you want to do co-term, then when an add-on is added, then there's the term of the core product and the term of the add-on. And then depending on when the add-on is added to the core, there are some co-term rules that we're not going to get into here because we're already dealing with enough technical stuff, which can be confusing. The co-terminosity rules are very technical as well. So if you, in this scenario where you do want that code, or you're interested in the co-terminosity for an add-on and a core product, let us know. And then our team will work with you on what's possible with co-term, and then work to implement it. And also, since it just came out, it's 6 days old, then we would work with you on what's available now, and then there will be some more co-term features released throughout this year, and then we'll let you know exactly what we can do today, what's feasible, what's what's possible in the future, and then allow you to then make the decision on the co-term date for the core products, the add-ons, and any of them that you might want to co-term together. Did that help address that both parts of that question?
I believe so, but I think Carrie, you asked that question. So if Wade did not answer that question for any reason, feel free to let us know in the chat, or send us an email, and we'll get that question answered directly.
Yeah, the devil's in the details for all of these things, including co-terminosity. So let us know, or we can follow up with you on this question, and then we're talk through the co-terminosity rules, and then see what co-terminosity combination of terms works best for the products in your organization. I know
Wade,
it's kind of.
we have one more question in chat. Does the NCE pricing model apply to OS, especially server OS, such as Windows Server Standard 2022?
So co-terminosity, I didn't put this in the slide deck. It does not apply to Azure products. It does not apply to server subscriptions, and it does not apply to perpetual licenses, because they're perpetual, you have them forever. It applies to the modern workplace products of Microsoft 365, Office 365, the add-ons, so on and so forth. But for those products that we can now sell through NCE that are server-based, like Windows Server 2019, SQL Server, whatever version, those, if they're on a server subscription or we sell them with software assurance, those have their own term dates, and they're not part of the co-terminosity program at this time. The expectation is that they will be in the future, and that's what I was alluding to when I said, we can work with you on what the rules are today. And then the expectation is that server subscriptions, and for those of you who aren't aware of those, we can sell a Windows Server, SQL Server, other products in a 1 year and a 3 year term, just like we had on the previous slide for Microsoft 365. And as of today, they're not in scope for co-terminosity, but the expectation is that they will be sometime in the future, hopefully this year. We just don't have a firm date on that.
Perfect, thank you.
That's a very insightful question. Thank you for asking that. And again, it does get really detail oriented, but that's a great question, because it would be great for all products from Microsoft that are in a subscription model. Software assurance, server subscriptions, Microsoft 365, so on and so forth. It would be great for them to be co-term, and that's one of the, I'm gonna go back to that slide. That's one of the things that Microsoft has, there's a reason why they started this program, is to have the purchasing models be the same and put them into 3 different models: enterprise, which is over 2,400 seats, breadth is what they call it for 2,400 seats, people or employees or less, and then web direct. And they're moving, the goal is to move all the products into this model, so that when we start talking about all of this stuff, where did my pen go? Pen. When we start talking about this, like this table here for new or renewing subscription, 1 month, 1 year, 3 year, we can be talking about it not just in the context of Microsoft 365, but also in the context of Windows Server subscriptions, SQL Server subscriptions, We have some clients that have bought other, server subscriptions on the 1 year or 3 year model, and then the expectation is that they will fall into the Co-Terminosity alignment rules, provisioning rules, so on and so forth at some time in the future. We just don't have a firm date yet. Perfect. And then last slide before the slide with all of the links is the 3-year term for Microsoft Office 365 coming soon. I think it's June, July. I don't really know for certain. We don't have a date, but we will advertise that when it comes out. And we've had a number of people say, well, why would I do a 3-year term? We hit on a little bit earlier. You can lock in the price for 3 years. Now there is the cancellation policy. You can only cancel reduced licenses in the first 72 hours. So some people are like, well, I will never do a 3-year term. And the answer is, if you want to lock in price for a 3-year term and there's a promotion, and if there's a promotion for it, which discounts that product for those 3 years, maybe you don't do all of your subscriptions. Let's say you've got 1,000 subscriptions of something. Maybe you do half of them, 500 or 600 or 700 at 3 year, and the rest at 1 year or 1 month to address fluctuations in staffing. There's going to be some good ways to mix and match 3 years with 1 year and 1 month, especially if there's some good promotions that are available in the market, to then, kind of lock in pricing for 3 years. We have some clients that want a 3 or 5 year term. That's just their purchasing model. That's what they prefer to have, is 3 or 5 year pricing commitments. And, we'll be very happy to be able to offer that sometime in the future, hopefully sometime this summer. Here's the links, as I promised, to all of the references that I put in this slide. And then lastly, questions, Q&A. We've already had a lot of Q&A along the way, which is great. We're 45 minutes in. Given the LinkedIn links to Lindsay, Austin, and myself, and then also just a couple of things we do at the end of all of these presentations. A few things on Big Green IT. Feel free to contact us for a cloud consultation, readiness assessment. And then I listed some of the programs we're involved with Microsoft, and then the big Microsoft networking group for Microsoft partners. We're involved in that, and we're on the board of some of those partner chapters. So we reached the end here of the slide deck. So any more questions and comments we've got here, Lindsay or Austin?
Yeah, so would you mind just touching base a little bit as well on the Big Green IT portal and license management from that perspective?
Perfect. So we have a client portal on our client websites on www.biggreenit.com. There is a client login, and in that there is a portal that's customized for each client. In there you can manage your Microsoft 365 licenses. You can see all of your current and historical invoices. We've got a knowledge base there. You can submit support tickets. So everything is there, is customized for you. License management right now in the portal has been a challenge. Microsoft's licensing engine, which this portal is synced with, has had some technical difficulties as a result of all of the changes that Microsoft's made that really took effect here in the month of March. Because of that, for the short term, we've been guiding our clients to contact our support or licensing team, or me and Lindsay and Austin, and we'll get you in contact with that team, and we'll make those license changes for you. We don't have an exact time when the Microsoft licensing, their own portal will be mistake-free, or not, mistake's the wrong word, but we'll be technical issues free. We'll stop having technical issues. So we have had our support team helping out for clients who have gone into that client portal, try to make some changes, notice that the changes aren't in effect or the quantities are wrong. We're aware of this too. Every Microsoft partner is going through the same thing. So this is not just a Big Green IT thing. This is a Microsoft thing, and it's not just US partners, it's worldwide. So this has been a challenge for all of us in managing licenses, is that some of the portal information might be a little incorrect. And if so, don't worry about it. There's no reason to panic. Just contact us, and then we'll help reconcile everything for you. And then in the near future, once Microsoft's technical issues with their licensing system has been resolved, then the licenses in the Big Green IT client portal will accurately reflect what you have.
Fantastic.
Beautiful. Anything else?
I don't think we have any more questions in chat at this time, but if there are any follow-up questions, of course, you can reach out to our team and we'd be happy to address them.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Lindsay and Austin, Chuck and Carrie, for helping run this webinar and answer questions. Thanks to everybody for attending. And as a reminder, the on-demand version of this will be on our website. Chuck will be following up with everybody with the PDF of all these slides. And if you have any other questions, anything else you want to know, please don't hesitate to contact us. We super appreciate you working with us through all these license changes, and looking forward to working with you and your team on licensing and future projects and all things Big Green IT, your company, and Microsoft on a go-forward basis. And at that, I'm going to end the webinar. Thanks, everybody. Stay safe out there. Have a great day, and we'll talk with everybody here very, very soon.